So the Buddha's expertise is the mind, and the way the mind works. I mean, then you hear about karma. It's almost like they're two separate parts of all the Buddhist worldview. You know, there's separate teachings, lineages. Separate kind of bodies of knowledge, the texts, but they're utterly integrated because it's the mind. The Buddha would say, that's the source of everything. So the law of karma is just a way of he's observed. It's this natural law that runs within the minds, if you like, of all sentient beings, or the law that drives our minds. So whatever in a garden is driven by the law of botany. We know that. Garden, you know, and the thing is, it's a natural law. No one made it up and sort of then owns copyright to it, you know. But this point is a huge point in the Buddhist teachings because it's the absolute basis of understanding the Buddhist spiritual philosophy, the Buddhist views of the world. We're very used to spiritual in our culture in relation to creators, you know, to the concept of a creator. And then we think it's because as a Christian, obviously, you know, you can't know what God knows. That would be shocking to, you know, to even consider that. That's not your job. Your job as a spiritual practitioner, as a Christian, is to have devotion to this being who is the source of the universe, who is the source of you, who runs the world, who creates the laws, who is the boss, basically. And what's interesting about that philosophically, Buddhism, you know, this is the view that he says it's a mistaken view. It's a misconception. It's this idea that there's something out there running things. I mean, conspiracy theorists have that view. Honestly, those movies by Peter Jackson, which I can't stand, you know, those New Zealand fella, you know, he's a brilliant guy. All those movies, they're those views that there's some good and bad energy out there that somehow drives us, and we're driven from pillar to post by it. We have no say in it, and it's got nothing to do with me, and we don't understand it, and so it kind of scares us, you know. Or you succumb to it, and you have faith in God. Great, that's a good way to live your life. God does have a rule. If there is a being who is the source of the universe, who runs everything, then that's not a bad person to have faith in. I agree with you. You don't have to know what he thinks. You don't have to know what he wants. You have to kind of question him and argue with him and get him, you know, manipulate him. You do what he says. That's the Christian teaching. But then you've got the negative side, all the bad stuff, all these conspiracy theorists about God knows. I mean, people make up things every day, but all these external forces. And then it's this mystery, you know, we mystify things. That's because of this ego grasping, because of the root delusion that believes in this dualistic you and me and you and them and me and out and in and good and bad, all this dualism. It's a product of that misconception in our mind. And it brings fear because we don't understand. This is the deepest delusion. Don't blame your Christian mother, your Jewish mother for this view. It's the creation of our own misconceptions. So we mystify. I mean, this is how we feel automatically. We even say, well, I didn't ask to get born. Meaning that I play no role in being me, that I play no role in what happens to me. That's how it feels like that. Well, that's the victim mentality. That's how we all are. That's the irony of ego. So the world, we feel that materialistically, it's the same view. Except we haven't worked out who runs the show yet. We don't know yet, people say. But it's like this, no one knows why things go on. No one knows why things happen. We even say that as a materialist. We even say that, oh yeah, no one knows. As if it's a scientific truth. No one knows why things happen. That's, the Buddha would say, it's because we haven't got in touch with the reality of how things exist. It's a bit like you've got gardens, but you've never heard of botany. You've never heard there's a law that drives what grows in your garden. So you mystify. You don't know why flowers grow. Wow, I don't know why it happens. It just kind of happens. And then why weeds come. And then you make up all these stories. You know, maybe you walked outside one day and you smiled and a flower came. Oh, flowers are because you smile. Because we're stupid. We don't understand reality. Buddha's telling us this. Don't believe Buddha either. The whole thing in Buddhism is mind consciousness, this capacity for cognition, has this astonishing potential to cognize that which exists. That's the Buddha's definition of mind, that which can cognize. Cognize what? That which exists. This is a shocking idea. The Christians have God who knows everything. The materialists, we don't know yet. The Buddha says, don't need creators. There's no conspiracy theory. Every being is in charge of whatever happens to every being. But we're also schizophrenic and insane. And this is the main way we suffer on the planet. Whether it's good things or bad things happening. You know, if it's good things, we're so happy. Wow, wow, wow. If it's bad, we go mad. If it's anger and rage. But both are based on superstition. There's a feeling that we didn't ask to get born. I'm this thing that's got plonked on this planet to whom things happen fairly and unfairly, and we don't know why. Meaning we don't play any role. So no wonder we have fear. No wonder we have grasping. No wonder we're trying to manipulate the world and change it to be the way we want. We don't have a choice, because that's the way ego works, you know. So the Buddha's view is there's no need for a creator. There's no need for an external force that runs the show. There's no need for a punisher. There's no need for a rewarder. It's a fantasy we have made up. This is observation. And that mind, one's own mind, has the potential to see this. So he's saying every mind is the creator of their own experiences. Not mini-set. You don't create a tree overnight. You sow the seed in it there and it comes. So the Buddha would say there are 4 ways our past karma ripens. This is shorthand. Everything the mind does is what causes experiences. The main cause of the 4 ways of whatever rebirth I get, animal, human, hell being, the main cause of whatever type of mind I've got, my tendencies, my habits, the main cause of how I'm seen and treated by others, the main cause, in other words, of what happens to me supposedly from out there, and the main cause even of the way the physical world impacts upon me. The main cause is the seeds I've planted in my mind from the past by what I've done with my mind, and then on the basis of that with my body and speech. This is the process. This is the process that produces everything in the universe. As Lama Zopa says, everything we experience is our own karmic appearance. We see it literally as out there, having nothing to do with me. That's because we have this ignorance that clings to the self-existent me and the self-existent everything else. As the song says, the law of karma is like self-creation. Of course, initially it sounds demented. Completely sounds like craziness. It's all there in the literature, all there in the teachings. So for us to study it, and then through meditation and experience, and realize that to experience the truth of it, or as His Holiness says, to experience that it's not true. And if you can prove from your own experience that it's not true, then you must reject the Buddha. It's logical. So good things happen to us and bad things happen to us. Speaking simply, that's it. So what are the responses we have to these events? Well, this is where Buddha talks about the mind, the 3 poisons. It sounds so cute, but it's profound. So ego grasping, the colloquial term used for this root delusion that believes in the intrinsic, separate, dualistic, concrete, solid, separate me, and then separate everything else. That's the root misconception, the root delusion. And then that gives rise to this primordial attachment, multifaceted, as we talk about all the time. Primordial emotional hunger, dissatisfaction, yearning, craving, and which then fantasizes and romanticizes things. And then when it doesn't get what it wants, because it's a hungry little vampire, basically, the millisecond The millisecond it gets what it wants, we don't know it's there. But when good things come, supposedly from outside, there's all this, the attachment gets completely carried away. Wow, 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 it must be so special. It's incredible, amazing, unbelievable. It doesn't feel like it's got anything to do with me. It's all just come upon me, and it's so special and amazing. Wow, 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 and this, that. We think of spiritual experiences like that. And we swim in this fantasy. We swim in this kind of attachment infused hubris or kind of sort of arrogance. Wow, I must be so special. I'm sorry for being rude. When good things happen, even win $1 million, the same. There's a feeling of, wow, I must be special. Look at me, you know. We don't dare to see it. When good things happen, because it has to be getting what it wants, and we're greedily expecting the good things, it's there at the level of assumption. Attachment is an assumption that I must only get the good things. Why? You know, this is the heavy duty part, because I deserve only the good things. That's what attachment thinks, but it's completely programmed in us. We would dare never to admit to that. There's this hubris, this assumption, this unspoken kind of expectation that I must only get the good things, because attachment thinks I only deserve the good things. And we have no idea why they happen. And then when attachment doesn't get what it wants, the shock, the horror, the freak out of aversion. How dare that happen to me? Because I don't deserve bad things. We live our lives like this. So if you've got a good life, you know, and say you're born in a beautiful family with a beautiful, handsome body, and you've got a beautiful family and money in the bank, and lovely people treat you nicely, and the environment's delicious, and the food is delicious, and you have money and go everywhere, everything beautiful rains down upon you. Nothing wrong. Buddha says this is incredible. Buddha's view, okay, Christian's view is God's blessing you, so at least you can thank him, be a bit humble. The materialist view is nothing except I must be special. We mightn't admit to it, but that's how we feel. Wow, look at this, amazing. There's this pride comes. It's automatic. The millisecond I've got a bit more than someone else, pride arises. It's hubris, you know. And it's rooted in attachment. Getting what it wants. So of course we think I must be special. If good things happen, and then I see shitty people, well, I must be more special. We can't help it. We can't help but think this. And then we romanticize it, fantasize it. Wow, wow, wow. And then when the bad things happen, shock, horror, freak out, and mental illness go crazy. And I'm not putting any of this down. This is why we suffer, Buddha says. These are the source of our suffering. Because you know why? Because we don't understand karma. The bodhisattvas have the greatest compassion for sentient beings, not even because we don't realize emptiness, but because we haven't understood cause and effect, that everything that happens to us is the fruit of our own past. We are the creators of that. That's the reason they have such compassion for us. And this is the reason we have such suffering. Because we don't understand karma. No idea that we created it. It's a bit like you wake up one morning, you've never thought of botany, you never noticed you had a garden outside, and one day you wake up and you open your eyes and you look outside and it's full of flowers and beautiful flowers and herbs and lovely fruit trees. And you blow your mind. My God, I can't imagine this. Where did this come from? This has got nothing to do with me. It must be incredible. I'm so special. Look at this thing that happened. I can't believe it. And you know, and you kind of, it's like this overwhelmed. Wow, amazing. Because you have no idea that you sowed every single seed. It's your garden growing. It's your garden manifesting. You sowed the seeds. If it's in front of you, you know, the garden, we know it's not like that. We know there's a law called botany, and we know you don't have lost your memory. You wake up in the morning and whatever's in your garden, you don't see it as external. You don't see it as separate from you. Think about this. You see it as your garden. You own every moment of it. You know every moment intimately, and you know everything in it. You remember all the hard work you did, and you will rejoice in these flowers and herbs because they're your flowers and your herbs, and you do deserve them because you sowed them, you created them. Then what comes from this? Humility, and you will eat a beautiful apple, but you will immediately sow another apple seed because you know that's where it came from. It's not just greedily. What comes from the hubris of, oh, just wow, there's good things happen. You eat it up like a vampire, and then wonder why it all runs out. Because then you demand, how dare someone doesn't give me more good? How dare there be weeds in my garden? Why are there weeds in my garden? We don't say that because we know we grew it. That's your life. Our life is our garden, and whatever arises in it, it's the fruit of past seeds. It's not a complicated concept, but it takes time to apply it, to own it. Everything is our own karmic appearance, Lama Zopa says. Because of the intensity of this attachment, and because of the intensity of the ego grasping, we can't hear it. So it has to practice. If it's in front of you, you caused it. It is impossible for anything to happen to you that you haven't caused. That's the Buddha's view of karma. Whereas you look at the Western view, the materialist view, it's the exact opposite. We really believe we play no role in what goes on in our life, and it all happens to me externally and put upon me. If it's good, oh wow, must be special. If it's bad, how dare that happen to me? Blame, murder, kill, rape. Look at the world, please. This karma is an incredible view. Transforms our lives, and it enables us to realize emptiness because it's dependent arising. We're just like totally disconnected from the world, as if it's got nothing to do with me. And as Lama Zopa said, which is so shocking, the vast majority of people on this planet not only have no idea that what goes on outside has got nothing to do with them, but they really believe that what goes on in their mind plays no role at all in their lives. I mean, we're really quite mentally ill. That's Buddhist, our word for what Buddhist calls afflictions. Mental illness, misconceptions about who we are and where we come from, and reality. That's Buddhist view. And this is all coming from his own observation. Yes.
Would you say that and say Hiroshima?
Sorry, what?
In let's say the bombing in Hiroshima, Ukraine,
Yep,
Israel.
every good thing, every bad thing you can see, and worse.
Those are all individual karmas.
If they didn't cause it, who did? That's the thing to get. But we want to have an innocent victim. We can't cope with it, right? We can't even cope with a dog being harmed. Because the little doggy woggy's innocent. We can't even cope with one child being harmed. We don't care if one child is treated nicely. We don't care. We never ask, you mean they deserve it? Nobody ever asked that question. Don't say me. It's only because we can't stand the thought of bad things happening, and because we believe we don't deserve bad things, so we dump that on everybody else. How could it possibly be that a child who's innocent can be harmed? But what is equally the logic? How can it possibly be that a child who's innocent can also be treated nicely? The answer is the same. So of course the answer is evident. But you know that. How many years you've been studying Buddhism? And it still shocks you.
Well, yeah.
It still shocks you. Because you haven't thought through it.
I know, but it's still shocking, yeah.
So I have to unpack it. So why does it shock you? Put the words to it, because we all have the same view. Put the words to it. Why does it shock you?
Well, I guess when there's war.
No, keep it simple. Why does it shock you that bad things happen to people?
Oh no, that doesn't.
That's what I'm talking about.
I guess what I'm thinking of as a big collective.
But how do you talk? Everyone is a group. We're sitting in here as a group. Everybody does things in groups. People are groups. Countries do things as groups. Families do things as groups. Then things happen to us in groups. That's nothing special. That's hardly surprising. Do you not notice people live in groups?
Yes.
And identify philosophically and psychologically with each other?
Yeah.
Okay. We do things in groups and we experience things in groups. Get the results in groups. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. That's the point. Yeah, no, that I understand. Yeah, but that makes sense. Yeah, it's very fascinating. The feeling, is that anyway. So any other questions, people? Any other questions? Any questions online? No, yes, Eileen. Yes, we have.
Robina, hi.
Yes, darling.
I'm trying to, you said that the law of karma, it's what drives our mind. So
It's the law, if you like, it's the law that if you want to understand your mind, you understand the law of karma, then it explains what's in your mind and why it's there. And explains
Right,
why it's there.
so everything that's,
But you have to learn to help explain what's in a garden. So karma is the law you have to learn to understand, or to understand yourself, your mind, and your experiences. Yes.
So what we're saying is that everything that's in the mind, like right now, in the present, is the result of the past, the present, and the future.
Well, that can be the result of the future. That's a silly thing to say.
No, I mean, it can create the future.
Of course it can. That's right. I mean, that's why the Buddha used the view of the seeds and fruits. It's not a very complicated concept, but the idea, because we feel that things just happen randomly. We think our thoughts are random. We don't know why we think certain things. It just comes from nowhere. Mummy made me, daddy made me, God made me. We don't know why. There's mystery about it all. So everything you think, if it's there, it's because you've thought it before. Everything you're good at is because you've done it before, whether it's murder, raping, or playing music. If the tendency is in your mind, you've done it before. So of course the materialist view is completely different. So that really throws us. You're good at it because you got it from your mummy. But when you start seeing pedophiles with a nice mummy who's not a pedophile, then we get confused. You understand? So the point about the karmic one is so subtle, because it's so subtle, and it really does imply dependent arising. It implies emptiness. It's we love to think about emptiness, but when I understand emptiness, think about karma. It's the most brilliant example of the logic of dependent arising that enables us to understand there's no intrinsic nature. It leads to that, Anyway, yeah. So yes, everything's in the mind. Whatever is in front of us, how even the physical world impacts upon us. It's all explained in the literature. It's all there for us, according to this model of the world, The minds are the creators. Minds, individual minds, billions and trillions of sentient beings' minds that go back and back and go forward. So what goes on in those minds, and then what the body and speech of those beings does, is the process that produces the person we become and produces our experiences. And that's right, exactly, Eileen.
Thank you.
And it's so opposite in many ways to the materialist view and to the Christian view that it's shocking, So it takes a little thinking about. And of course, the more you think about it, the subtler it gets, So the main thing is, if this is the Buddha's view, and we're thinking about maybe then we're giving Buddha some, we're thinking we're going to take this as our view, going to take it as our working hypothesis. And of course, how do you apply this? And the garden's such a good example. I love that example. Like I said, when you look at that garden, you don't look at it and think, who put those flowers there? Who put those weeds there? And that's such a good example. You own it because it's your garden. So therefore, you take responsibility. Therefore, when you do eat that fruit, it's come there because you sowed a seed and you worked hard to nourish that fruit tree. So you would never waste it. You wouldn't just greedily eat it up. If you have the hubris of having no view of karma and just thinking God made you or mummy made you, and then suddenly good things happen, you're born to a rich family, of course you're going to have hubris and arrogance. Oh, I must be special, look at me. And there's no cause of it. So you greedily eat up the money, you greedily eat up all the circumstances because you don't think you've got anything to do with you. But you caused those flowers. You will appreciate them and you would never waste them. And when you pick one, put in your vase, you'll make sure you grow another one, because you understand it's a product of the law of cause and effect called botany. That's how you approach your life. You're in charge. And those weeds in your garden, you own responsibility for them too. You would never say, who put weeds in my garden? People would laugh at you. This is such a good analogy. Well, our life is our garden. Whatever's in it, it's ours. The view is tremendous, actually. It brings tremendous courage, humility. It lessens attachment. It lessens anger. It lessens ignorance. It's an incredible view. Buddha's observation. And eventually, as you get more advanced and you get concentration, meditation, and you get shamatha, and you get single point of concentration, you'll eventually get clairvoyance and you'll be able to prove it's true. Because your mind will be more supple and you'll see the truth of it. You'll see it because your mind can get more subtle and can see the past and can see the future. So until then, it's our hypothesis. And it's, without this, Buddhism just collapses into a heap of nonsense, incoherent nonsense. And it brings more responsibility because there's no innocent victim. We just have this view that we're an innocent victim who deserves happiness and doesn't deserve suffering. We live our lives like that. Look at us. So when you've got this view, there's no such concept. There's no concept like that. And then there's less attachment, less anger, less hubris, less arrogance, less depression, more ownership, more accountability, more responsibility, more grown up, and therefore more content, and more in charge of your life. So it's up to us, if we like this view or not, want to try and apply it. What else, people? Anybody have a question? I mean, all these things take time, It's really quite subtle view.
And Robina,
Yeah.
do you think that our understanding of karma has something to do with our lack of understanding about past lives? Because in this, like, I wasn't brought up with that.
That's right, of course,
that
that's right.
concept.
Of course.
And you think that that the difficulty is because we really can't understand.
No, it's just a surprise to us, isn't it? Because we're so familiar either with the view that God made us. That's even if we've been, that's the view we're mostly brought up with. That's so pervasive a view, not complaining about it. But that is the view that we're so familiar with. And so because it's brought up with, we don't question it. So of course, some of us will question, might give it up and say it's stupid or whatever. But it's usually extreme, Or the materialist view, which is really the view that prevails in the world. And the view, I think, that is considered the most intelligent view. I mean, religion is kind of weird. Even now, people don't think religion is very intelligent, We think it's a bit mysterious. But the scientific views, what we can see with our eyes. I mean, that view is that says that your mother and father, that you're only physical, and that your mother and father are the cause of you. That's it. So it's shock. In relation to both views, the concept of your consciousness not being physical and coming from a previous life is shocking for both of those views, isn't it? Yeah. That's right, of course. And so, and of course, because it's been around for 3,000-4,000 years in Asia, it's the natural view for them. Do you understand? Tibetans are brought up with this view as the most natural thing on the planet. Do you understand? Yeah. Yeah.
There's a question.
Yes. Who? Oh, yes. Hello, Wolfgang. Good afternoon, Wolfgang.
Hello, Madam Robina.
Yes.
If the mind is not physical, is
Yes.
it correct to say that there is only one mind?
That's a good point, Wolfgang. Or you could argue that if when we are all finally in our natural state of perfection, Buddhahood, if all of us have accomplished that potential, that would be the reality. There's only one mind then. But there's sort of like almost having these billions of separate minds is a symptom of the problem of ego grasping, of being separate. Because as Lama Yeshe says, the very positing of a me, which is the concept of ego grasping, already implies other, and all the suffering that comes of attachment and anger is all about me and other. So when you finally achieved your Buddhahood, There's no longer your oneness. You're a Buddha, he's a Buddha, she's a Buddha. You might as well say we are then the same mind. Yes, then you could say that.
And in Buddhism, is there something like a life energy? Is it correct to say that this illuminated mind is life energy?
No, not really. They don't talk like that. No, not really. No, don't say like that. That I think is a bit sort of Hindu feeling, a sense of, because the Hindus have a view of karma, but their real one is there is an essence, there's God, the essence of the energy that pervades the universe. But you know, in the Vajrayana teachings in Tantra, in Buddhism, you can even talk like that. You can say that the energy of the bliss of the Buddha's mind pervades everything. And in your practice, you can see other people as a Buddha. You can even think of the rocks and the flowers as Buddha. That's a possibility. That's to help the mind become more radiant and more open and connected. They're just like techniques, you know. But finally, in Buddhism, there's only matter, which is the 4 elements, and then there are minds, nothing else. But if you can have masses of goodness somewhere, that's very real, and masses of badness. It's not as if it's an external. The Christians call it evil, some kind of outside thing, or they call it good, something outside. No, it's if you've got a collection, if you walk into a room of angry, deluded people, you can cut the energy with a knife, can't you? It's just their minds, collectively. And the same, you walk into a room and feels blissful. That's just good mind. It's not an external extra thing. Do you understand?
Yes. And but for example, a flower, you can see a life energy behind the flower. There's something alive, something blossoming.
No, it's the 4. Okay, the Buddhist view. Okay, I understand. There are 4 ways. Okay, there are minds, and then there's matter. And matter, Buddhism, they still use the concept of the 4 elements, right? So, okay, so one point, all minds, this is the Vajrayana view, all minds are inextricably linked to their own set of the 4 elements. So everything our mind does affects the 4 elements. So that brings good health or sickness over a long time. But also there's the external environment, and that also is the fruit of past karma. So, you know, as a result of goodness, lots of virtue and goodness, a group of people living in a little village in Switzerland where the flowers are beautiful and the sky is pure and clear and the water's perfect, everything's perfect, people, there's no stealing, no killing, no lying. You really feels like a tangible energy there, you are right. But it's merely the past collective virtue of all those beings, and they're experiencing the fruit of their past collective virtue in having the 4 elements delicious and beautiful and nourishing and clean and delicious. It's just persona, but it's nothing external. It's the fruit of the virtue of sentient beings that flowers are delicious. It's the fruit of non-virtue of sentient beings that some places repulsive and polluted and disgusting and harmful and ugly. It's still just the 4 elements and then minds and the play of all of these. You understand?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay. But it's very real. It's true. We walk into a room and it feels, we say it feels lovely. So it's true, but it's just minds being virtuous. I mean, you know, those TM people, you know, Maharishi 40, 50 years ago, the transcendental meditation, they did experiments that if more than a certain percentage of people in any one place did meditation, it had impact upon that environment. There's no question that would be true. It's true, but it's not mystical. Because virtue is what makes all good things, and it's delusions and non-virtue that creates all bad things. There's no external creator that's good and a devil that's bad. There's no external extra thing, put it that way. Do you understand?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yes, people. Talk about questions. So how to apply this in daily life? The garden one is the best one. Honestly, the garden one is the best one. It's the hardest one in the planet because of the intensity of the attachment we've got, which is a greedy, hungry little vampire in there, and it's the source of our suffering that only wants good things. Then the millisecond a bad thing happens, we have a panic attack. You know, aversion arises. How dare that happen to me? So it takes incredible practice to have the courage to own what is there, not to resist what is there. So to own the good. And know you caused it, and delight and rejoice and not want to waste it. And then whatever you did to cause it, you know it's nice, I'm going to do more of that. And then if it's the negative stuff, the painful stuff, the hurtful stuff, I don't want that again. So you stop causing it and you own it. So it's very practical. So of course, this is all formalized in practice called keeping vows of virtue, doing purification. These are the ways of externalizing, of doing techniques that link to this concept. You know, that's the general view. So it's really, when it pervades our lives, it's huge, and it really helps us realize emptiness. There's no intrinsic anything out there, and there's no intrinsic I. They're all the fruit of the past causes. But the view we have inside very deep is that it sees us as an absolute. It's absolute good, so mysterious, absolute bad, so evil. We're the victim of it all. It all happens to us. That's why we have so much fear. Your fear is the voice of all the delusions. You know? When you realize emptiness, as Lama Zopa says, there is no fear. This is incredible to think about. So this is, I mean, I'm just saying my words from having learned it way back when, you know. It's like that, it's like you have to learn the musical theory before you teach it to someone else. I don't know that much, but I had to learn the words. It's in the books. It's not mysterious, you learn the words. Bach, when you hear him being played, is like phenomenal bliss, but it all comes down to the theories. So our problem with spiritual experiences, especially, you know, when karma ripens in this life, like some of us this way, suddenly out of the blue, you know, your karma ripens from having been a Buddhist in the past. And many people, I mean, so many people I've met have like this really kind of what they call enlightened experiences, going for like a year. They're completely in bliss. They're like, they know everything. They're enlightened. Everything's blissful. Everything's perfect. So many people have that. And then the bubble bursts and you go crashing into despair, you know. So when we understand karma, it's because because in our normal world, usually when we think of spiritual, we equate it with an experience. And we're hungry for experiences. But you know, when you're playing, it's sort of like you've got some feeling for music, but you don't know the theories yet. And you go to the piano and you put your hands on the piano and you just kind of play something intuitively, and it's beautiful. You think, oh, it's like saying, oh, I had a musical experience today. And I'll say, please play it again for me. Oh, no, I can't do that. Because we mystify them. Like they came out of nowhere. So we think it's some kind of blessing from somebody that plonked upon me. It's superstition. So the learning is, you go to the piano, you're intuitive, is I better go and learn the theories. You go back to basics and you go one step at a time so that eventually you can play it every time. Same with our spiritual practice. Aren't we fortunate to have any karmic connection with spiritual teachings from the past? How incredible. But you see, there's two things going on. There's the karmic imprint, and then the karma ripens, and there's attachment. And that's the killer. That gets us confused and locked into nonsense. It's the same story, exactly the same. You know how karma ripens. Person, I always use the example of a person, this little boy who's a fisherman. Why he thought it was so delicious. That when I say the 12 links of dependent arising. There he is, a little boy, someone takes him fishing, never thought of fishing until now. So the 6th of these 12 links is called contact. You make contact with this particular event. That triggers his past karma. It's like as if he has a vision, it's like he has a memory of it, because he's done it before. So it triggers that. And the next link, the 7th one, because of the intensity of his past habit to kill, in this case, killing, he has intense bliss. The intensity of your past karma with something then triggers this incredible pleasure. So how fortunate that it's a Buddhist path. But we get carried away because the next second after the feeling arises, pleasant feeling, number 7 link, 8 link is now attachment. And that kicks in and paints a divine picture of it. So of course he's going to kill every day because he just found the best thing in the universe that triggered really pleasant feelings. He doesn't know why it triggered pleasant feelings, but then attachment makes it look divine. So now he's a fisherman for the rest of his life, and he's only getting pleasure from it. That's how we get any pleasure at all, because of the intensity of our past actions. You know, I remember reading, I mean, it's all the, whatever, you read people who do things, then because you get good feelings from it, you think it's special. You know? Good or bad, that's a tragedy. One fisherman, well, was this Australian bloke, he talked about when he went trout fishing for the first time. It was like a cosmic experience. All it shows is he's killed that often that it triggered, when he got contact with it again, pleasant feelings. But look at us, cake is, our best problem is cake. We eat cake and we can't stop the good feeling, and then we get attached to it. This is what keeps us locked into these 12 links of dependent arising. So to unpack these, to deconstruct and the logic of why we feel certain things in relation to certain actions. But because it's a good thing, like a spiritual path, we think, wow, it must be so special. It's just attachment gone berserk. But you know, our minds, study the Dharma, study the minds, study the states of mind, study karma. These are the nuts and bolts that explain our lives to us.
Robina,
Yeah.
could you kindly go
Bit louder, darling.
Could you kindly go into details of the 12 links of
The which?
dependent arising? Dependent arising.
I just did. 6, 7, 8, and they're the main ones.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to do it anymore. It's more experiential doing it like that. I mean, that's enough for us to blow our mind. You make contact with an object, suddenly you get pleasure. So of course, if it's raping, torturing, killing, you get pleasure. You keep it secret because no one's going to approve of you. But you want to do it again because it's pleasure. I mean, that's the main one to get. Think of that one. And then attachment kicks in and paints a vicious picture. Then we're done. We're paralyzed. We're in samsara, locked. We lose the key. So to question every time we have any pleasure, what triggered it? And then if it's a virtuous action, be happy. If it's a non-virtuous action, stop doing it. That's what's hard. It's so difficult. And all this is around past actions. No one's setting us up. No one's up there running the show. No one's pulling the strings. No one's running anything. That's the thing that's scary, hilarious, because everybody's got it. Christianity is a conspiracy theory. I'm not being rude. Better to be a Christian than a materialist, in my opinion, because at least you've got faith in somebody. At least you know someone has a plan. Don't stand. At least someone has a plan. Whew. No one's got a plan from the Western world. No one knows, we say. No one knows, we say. Wow. So when we understand karma and good things happen, instead of hubris and aren't I special, oh wow, I deserve it, and resting on our laurels, it was like let's just say people are kind to you, then you think, wow, this must be the fruit of my past kindness. So do I like this? This is talking simple. Yes, I do. Well, I'm going to keep being kind. Just like the fruit tree. You delicious that apple. You don't just eat it all up and wonder who's going to grow more apples. I better grow another one. That brings humility. When the bad thing happens, do I like this? No, I don't. If people don't believe your words, for example, it's due to past lying. Do I like this experience? No, it's painful. Well, I better stop causing it. So you make a vow not to lie. You use this, like botany, you use the rules, you use your garden, the laws of botany to determine what you're going to do with the garden. Every second there's something happening. So that's why four ways our karma ripens. And there's no fourth. There's no fifth. There's no other thing in our lives. Think about it. There's the body we have. We've got a human one. This is a fruit of non-killing. This is a fruit of virtue, like a miracle. Second, there's a mind in this body. Every moment of it is basically it's a bunch of habits. That's all. Tendencies. You have tendencies. You know, be good at math, good at music, good at cooling, good at killing, good at raping, whatever it might be. It's tendencies. They're yours because you practiced them before. It's hardly complicated. The third way your karma ripens, because we're very social beings, is Sheila's point, We live in relation to others, don't we? We get a life from a mother's womb, you know. We live in relation to others. So, of course, the world of others is divided into friends, enemies, and strangers. But really, only we care about the friends and the enemies. We don't care about the strangers. So we have the objects of attachment, our beloveds we're close to. Then we have objects of aversion, the ugly ones. So that we forget the strangers because they do neither to us. We don't care about them. So we spend our lives in relation to friends and enemies, and they keep changing roles. And the friends do nice things to us. And the enemies do ugly things to us. That's the world. This is called experiences similar to the cause. So you could have a tendency to speak the truth in this life, but then you've got the karma called experience similar to the cause as a result of past lying in another life, where some people don't believe your words now. And this is the main source of our pain in this life. Because there you are, you think you're a nice person, kind, loving, compassionate, don't steal, don't kill, but people are mean to you, rape you, harm you. This happens. This is the main source of the pain that we experience in this life. Why we go mad. Why we have the view, I don't deserve this. This is why we go mad. This is the main pain, cause of our pain in this life, when bad things happen to us, seemingly randomly. Now, when good things happen, seemingly randomly, when we mystify it, wow, I must be special, came out from external, didn't invite it, something to do with me, look at what just happened to me, wow. Then we go, oh, I must be special, you know. This is how the mind works. This is how our minds work, because we don't have the view of cause and effect. Oh, this is mine. It's coming back to me, you know, it's mine. My karmic appearance. My karmic appearance, as Lama Zopa says. So when you have the view of karma, it completely changes your life, because you're now interpreting everything differently. Because you're owning it as your garden. And you own it. Eat up for breakfast. Use it as grist for your mill. Completely changes your life. And the fourth one, environmental, is very abstract. It seems very weird to us, but it's understandable if we take this view of the universe, like I just said before to Wolfgang. There's the physical world made of the four elements, and then there's the mental, there's minds, billions and trillions of minds. There's no other energy in the universe. There's no other thing. So because minds and bodies and minds all are, this is a Vajrayana view, are inextricably linked to their own set of the four elements. So, you know, in the Vajrayana model, you've got gross consciousness, which is your sensory. Then you have your gross body, which is this bag of bones. And they are inextricably linked. You can't have a cognition of your I consciousness, which is your mind, without an eyeball. They're linked. So then that ceases when you die. Now you've got your mental consciousness. What's there now? And that's more subtle. And that's all your states of mind, love, compassion, anger, jealousy, you name it. And they are, so then they've got this, the physical component, the physical, subtle physical energy, as well as subtle mind, is the 72,000 subtle channels, similar to the Ayurvedic system, similar to the Chinese system. This is the Vajrayana system. It's the one the Tibetan medical system uses. 72,000 subtle channels, a nervous system from top to bottom. And coursing through those channels are all these different wind energies connected to our states of mind inextricably. They talk about the mind rides on the winds. So your Tibetan doctor will feel your pulses. And she can feel the imbalance of different wind energies, and then she knows it's related to your attachment, which is why you're having anxiety and panic attacks. She knows this wind balance is out because of anger. So they work on the doctors work on the physical, subtle physical energies by giving you different herbs that calm the physical, which then calms the mental that's linked to that physical. And so everything your mind does has an impact upon it. So Lama Zopa says, even just a moment of angry thoughts, just thought, that grows the habit to keep being angry, which is karmically the habit to be angry. Every time you think something, it grows that habit. And then it naturally impacts upon those subtle physical wind energies linked to the anger. And then that becomes polluted by the anger. And then eventually that develops more strong, and becomes gross physical sickness. So all the physical illnesses we have, at the gross level, are due to past negative actions, linked to the different negative delusions. So you can, by purifying your mind, you purify your physical, which in turn can physically purify you. And eventually, as Lama Zopa says, that's anger, which impacts upon the anger, makes it more angry, impacts upon the wind, which increases and becomes physical illness. And that eventually impacts upon the external elements and causes imbalance of the external elements. So then you're born in a world, call it with all the disharmonious of the disharmony of the elements. So for example, killing. The 4 results of killing. First main result of killing, you get a type of rebirth. It's very suffering, like, you know, an animal or hell being or something. Then the second result of killing is a tendency to kill. So look at us humans. We got non-killing karma, like a miracle. Our non-killing karma was triggered in our mothers before we even stopped breathing in the past life. One of those karmic seeds of our non-killing was triggered that programmed us to find out, go to our present mother's human womb a few weeks later. Secondly, karmic seeds, maybe we have a tendency to no tendency to kill, because we've lived in vows in the past, and lived in vows and morality in the past. So our mind is then filled with tendencies to not kill. Then you get born and you have a tendency to not kill, which is the fruit of non-killing. And then third, because of your past living in vows as well, you also have the type of karma called experience similar to the cause of also non-killing. And in this case, you won't get killed and you won't die young. And then fourth, due to non-killing, you live in the physical world you live in is harmonious elements. The food is delicious, the water is pure, the air is not polluted, and even if it is, you don't get harmed by it. You're fat and healthy. Every single being, you can look at this in these 4 ways. We all have a physical world. That's the predominance of the karma we created, collectively and individually. The physical elements, the way they configure, is the collective karma of the individual sentient beings. There's nothing that's mysterious. There's nothing that hasn't come from minds. So you might have a tendency to be shown truth, but you've got the karma from past lying to be not believed. You might have the tendency to be generous, but because of past karma, you keep getting stolen from. So we need all 3 together best, and that's from living in vows. And look at this human world. 6-7 billion humans, most kill, people get killed, people die young, people live in pollution and sickness. Look at the suffering on this planet. Got a human body due to non-killing, but we haven't purified all aspects of our negative karma. So have these terrible sufferings of being harmed, lied to, raped, stolen from, murdered, pollution, environment, wars. We haven't purified all aspects of our karma. That's why the miracle of living in vows and purification every day. And then can ensure that we have a decent human body, we don't have a tendency to kill or lie or steal, you won't get stolen from, killed or lied to, and you will live in a nice environment and be fat and healthy. I mean, very minimum we want that. Forget about nirvana, forget about Buddhahood. So understand karma, create the causes. Ground level, first level, live in vows. Stupendously powerful. Living in vows, 24 hours a day you're living in your vows, you're purifying your mind stream, putting atomic bombs under the negative tendencies. And then you purify at the end of every day. This way you guarantee you have the best life possible. And look how many, meditations and realizations we have. And we don't live in vows and purify every day. We have no basis, no ground, no foundation. All by understanding karma. The nuts and bolts of it. Then you apply it. And then build our practice from there. Then realizations will come easily. I've got to leave soon. I'm so sorry. I've got to teach you at least 30 minutes today. I've got to leave at 1:45, okay? Any questions before I go? sweetheart?
Wonderful, Robina, thank you so much. I have
That's-
a question about visualization meditation. I read from
About which?
visualization meditation. I read from Tibetan book of the dead that all the lights, the good light are really bright, and the dim lights are not good.
Okay, I don't know about that. I have no idea. Then God,
Oh, okay, so.
I know nothing. What do you mean for the person in the bardo? You mean or what?
Well,
What
for
do you
the
say?
person in Bardo, it's good to go into really bright light apparently instead of the dim light, because the dim light is like a.
And I said, what's the question here? What's the question?
The question is, does that mean like during visualization meditation, all the light should be really, really bright?
Well, I mean, of course, if you're visualizing, you're trying your best as yeah, of course, crystal clear, bright, vibrant, crystal, I mean, clarity and light. Yeah, of course. But I mean, the Bardo, I mean, that book, I've never read it. I've never heard of, never read it. But it's only advanced practitioners can have those experiences and know what they're doing, you know. Most of us are gone by the time we stop breathing. We're out of it and we're finished, you know. So, I mean, yeah, of course, visualization. And when you get to your subtle mind, the mind should be radiant, clear, blissful, light. Of course, all of this, of course, absolutely. What else, people? Yes.
I have a question for you. I've noticed when I do some stabilization meditation right before I sleep,
Yeah.
I can remember my dreams more.
Good. That's a good sign. A very good sign.
Oh, right. I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, it's a
Is
good
that-
sign. Means you've more clarity. That's right.
Okay.
And you sleep better, and you're more relaxed and wake up better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It's excellent.
So
Good.
you recommend it to?
Of course, I mean, it's very good to see you dream. So but you notice that you're dreaming? That's a really good thing. You should notice you're dreaming
Yes, I noticed.
while you're dreaming.
Sometimes. I
Good.
do.
That's important.
Okay,
That's a really good sign.
okay, good.
Yeah, do it with, and of course, the wish to become Buddhist, so you don't get all excited about it.
Right.
That's great.
Good.
Nothing wrong. Very nice. What else, people? Questions? Anybody on here? Paula, how are you, Paula? You okay? You all right, honey? Good, darling, good. Sheila?
I'm fine. I
Good,
tried
I'm very happy.
to.
You
I
have any
tried
questions, Paula?
I have got many questions because I'm very ignorant, but I'm listening carefully
Good.
as much as I can. And maybe it's better to listen to you first.
Good, darling. Go for it. I agree. Perfect. So who else? Who else is there? I can't read the words. Are so small here. So people, what do you think? I think we just no, I'm gonna just finish now with a little meditation, okay? We're just gonna do simple, the first part of Mahamudra or Simul Sogchen. There's all slightly variations, so you do what your Lama says. But here, the first part of the Mahamudra meditation is because we're trying to understand. The first part of Mahamudra meditation is they call it concentrating on the conventional nature of your mind, and then eventually you go to trying to comprehend the ultimate nature of your mind. But the first part is very simple. Instead of watching your breath or visualizing, you simply just pay attention to whatever pops up in your mind. So we just get comfy, get your body just comfortable, because your body doesn't meditate. So just get it comfortable. Remember the main points. If you're sitting in a chair, sit upright. Don't slump into the chair. Your feet on the ground, and your body upright but relaxed, muscles relaxed. Body upright but muscles relaxed. Head slightly forward, chin tucked in. Tip of the tongue behind the top teeth. Jaw, lips slightly apart. Eyes looking down, and then just settle into that, because your body doesn't meditate. So, and we're very obsessed with our bodies. So forget about the body. And now, just for a few minutes, very unself-conscious, very relaxed, very natural, we simply, with determination to keep the mind sharp and focused, we will pay attention to whatever arises in your mind, okay? Just no anticipation, no analysis, no discussion with it. Just mind your own business and pay attention to whatever arises in your mind. Don't space out. Just stay clear. Just watch. Let the mind come and go. Stay stable. Don't interfere with the thoughts. Okay. So a little taste. So we think we've been here for 1 hour or something, about an hour, I think it is. Everything we've heard, we might remember 90% of it, doesn't matter, it's gone in. One thing about the mind in Buddhism is interesting. One is the karmic one, the qualitative kind of process. But the other is simply that everything we see, hear, taste, touch, smell, think about, stays in the mind. So it's like this into our memories. It's this massive memory. So then we can access it. That's what clairvoyance is. Remove the obstacles. You can see the past and future. Of course you can. And you can see the minds of others. Everything stays in the mind. So we delight that this information has gone in. We nourish these seeds we planted. So every day we just go along doing our practice, trying to keep steady on the earth, one step at a time. So we can become the Buddha, just like our own Lama, if we have a Lama. They're showing us how to be. So we can be like them. See reality as it is, with infinite compassion, and be of benefit to others. Cham Chub Sem Chog Rinpoche Ma Ke Panam Ke Yuchig Ke Panyam Pa Me Pa Yang Gong Ne Gong Du Baba Shog Ge Wadi Nyu Dag Nama Sange Drup Yo Ne Drowa Chikyang Malu Pa De Sala Gurpa Shog. And may we never develop even for a moment wrong views towards the deeds of our most precious gurus. With faith and respect and gain from seeing their goodness, may their full inspiration flow into our hearts. When our hearts are open mixed with virtue, that's when we can receive easily. Our heart, we can know things easily then. It's our delusions that get in the way, our attachment and our fantasies and our nonsense that blocks. So, keep the heart open, but clear and devoted. Devotion is a very good quality. That's it, people. Thank you. Thank you, darling. Thank you, precious ones.
Thank you, Venerable. Love you.
Thank you, sweetheart. I'm glad about that. Thank you. I'm glad you love me.
Thank you very much.
Say, darlings. Bye.